So, Bud, what ranking outside of the top 50 do you feel? Um, what ranking outside of the top 50 do you think would surprise me or surprise us?
I'll just read my bottom 10, and then we can.
Well, because all right, here's the other thing is I do, because you've heard like my accolades argument. Like, if you're a first year coach with no head coaching experience, I'm sorry, you're going like near the bottom of my list. And so,
Right.
Yeah,
first year coaches like Jeff Lebby, Deshaun Foster, Fran
Brown.
Brown. Yeah. Ryan Walters is still down there because he was a first year coach and Purdue wasn't very good last year. Tony Elliott is still down near the bottom of the list because Virginia still hasn't gotten up and rolling. I mean, it is an honor to be a head coach at a power conference program. But if you are asking us to rank these guys against each other, it doesn't mean that they like capital S stink. It's just tougher to make the argument against some other power conference coaches with a little bit more accomplishment on the resume.
All right, I had Sam Pittman dead last. I had Mac Brown next, and then I had Shane Beamer dead last. Basically, like three guys. I've seen enough. I'm not really sure that they were the right hires at the time in two cases. And in Mac Brown, I just think like uniquely for North Carolina, I think he has done some very good things there. And also, if you're going to make the Lincoln Riley just wasted the quarterback argument, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you had 2 first-round picks in 5 years and not a lot to show for it at the quarterback position, which is very difficult to do. I mean,
They played for the ACC title.
that is true.
They had the ACC Player of the Year.
Like, I'm very confident Pittman will never be a Power 5 head coach again after this year. I don't think Beamer will ever get hired as a Power 5 coach again. You know, like, and I understand that South Carolina is not a job that anybody has been able to win at in a sustained manner. So you have to give him some grace for that. But also, guy was not a coordinator, I mean, special teams dude. Pittman kind of the same way. If you're not a coordinator, you better be really good at hiring assistants, and I dinged Pittman pretty hard for his offensive hire last year. I thought that was brutal. And Beamer as well with the Satterfield nonsense.
Yeah, I think that 2021 Arkansas season is doing a lot of work for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Sam Pittman at 55. So it's not like I'm throwing him up above a bunch of other coaches, but I do think that we did have a window, and certainly Arkansas fans will remember because they were, trying to give him a contract extension and very much celebrating the wins in the Outback Bowl, top 25 finish, being able to go to the Liberty Bowl, win that crazy game against Kansas. There was some positivity around Arkansas football in a big way that was associated with Pittman. I had to take my shoes off. I'm maybe giving a little bit too much there, but I
like me some cold beer.
I like me some cold beer.
No, I like the guy. Seems cool. Yeah. Just not good at the coaching side of things. To me.
I had PJ Fleck at 51. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That
seems
so low.
If there's two guys on here who I feel like if they repeat last year, they're going to take a big dip. It's Narduzzi and Fleck.
Yeah. Because Narduzzi, the argument was consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, oh, that was just a blip. But then you look at the personnel and you look at what's coming back next year and you're like, I don't know. It's going to be tough to have a snapback to 8 or 9 wins with the team as it looks right now. I mean,
Chip, where did you have Mac?
I had Mac Brown at 26.
Yeah. I think that's right. Because, I mean, that's more resume based on what he's accomplished. And he's brought Carolina back to relevance. Like, I do agree with the quarterback. You wasted, a couple really good quarterbacks. But, and I do think, according to Bud's philosophy, like, he would not get calls, if he got fired or stepped aside. So, according to Bud's philosophy, I agree.
This is a group. I mean, Danny, I like the way that it seems like you're approaching this like I am, where I just find a group that makes sense and then I kind of slot the group. And so it's Kirk Ferentz, Brett Bielema, Mac Brown, Gus Malzahn, Dave Clawson. I think they're all pretty good coaches. Not ready to stand on the table, but I want to give everybody their own individual respect that's earned. Like Brett Bielema, I understand that Ohio State and Michigan were kind of lost in the wilderness, but he had Wisconsin humming. I mean, they were at a high level. And so I give him credit for that. The same way that some of these other coaches with longer careers are getting credit for what they've been able to accomplish. All right. Let's see, down near the bottom. All right. Where'd you have Deion?
62.
65.
But with real room to move up. Okay.
Yeah.
Like there are some simple things that Deion could do to move up my list considerably. Okay. One, he could, like, some of these assistant coaching hires that he made could work out. Okay. Phil Lodeholt to fix your O-line is a guy that's never been an offensive line coach, is a big gamble, but it has big upside. The guy played in the NFL, was a really good player, has connections. Players seem to like him. So, like, I'm willing to evaluate and watch how that one goes. If he learns the overtime rules, I would also consider moving him up more on my list. If he gets one of Shador's watches, I would also consider moving him. Like, they lost the Oregon State game because he botched the end of half time management. Like, that ended up being a close game because Oregon State screwed around a lot and DJU played like crap. But, like, if Colorado, 67 of 68 coaches on this list, I'm pretty sure would not mess up the clock situation that badly at the end of half. Like, that's just like egregious, you're losing games for your team stuff from Deion. So that doesn't have to continue. Okay. He could go to coach school or something this offseason, or just have somebody in his ear.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Exactly. Like, so I do think he has, like, significant upward mobility here, because this is not like fundamental stuff that you can't fix. I mean, it's not guaranteed to get fixed.
There are a lot of coaches who have somebody assigned that it's a, I mean, look at all the 40 coaches that a lot of SEC teams, a lot of the best coaches have had. One of those 40 jerseys, one of those 40 polos on the sideline is assigned to be watching the clock, telling you what you think you should do in this situation. And then it's up to you whether you do it or not. But they are constantly reminding you what the right thing to do is.
Speaking of 40 polos, can we get a Billy Napier check? Tailgate's been asking for it. So, that at least fits in. What do you do with a coach who was running hot at Louisiana, right? I mean, everything was okay. I mean, there's a reason why his hire was celebrated, why we looked at it and we thought that this was going to be someone who came up from the school of Saban and now had all the tools, and he was going to be able to show you how to run a program like they did in Tuscaloosa. And yet he is also one of the top 5 names that will be mentioned for every hot seat article when we have those discussions in August. So where do you have Billy Napier?
55.
I mean, this is the funny thing about the difference is I've got Billy Napier at 43, but even though we're 12 spots apart, we're probably in the same region.
I mean, like, you have all the resources and you haven't been able to do anything with them. I mean, they have unlimited polo shirts there. Organizing those polo shirts is a skill that Napier so far has not shown. He did not have all those polos at Louisiana. And we've said this a lot on the show, but you can understand that Saban's plan involves hiring all those people. Genius of Nick was not hiring all those people. It was understanding how to organize all those people, understanding exactly why you needed each person, and getting them to believe that job, that very specific job that they were hired for, is real important. I think Florida is very disorganized, right? They have the outward appearance of having this big org structure, but I don't think that they play and operate in a real organized manner.
What do you think it'll take for him to save his job with that schedule? You think if he goes 7-5, or are they looking to get rid of him?
I can't speak to that last part. Are they looking to get rid of him? I think an objective analysis of this Florida team, that Florida schedule, if it includes DJ Lagway playing well in 7 wins and maybe like one upset.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
It's kind of like that NFL coach mentality. Like, do you go with the young guy and show some optimism? And it's like, hey, let's keep this thing going, see if we can fix it.
It's I don't know that it is a specific record that makes him safe. It's probably what you guys mentioned. I don't know what they're going to do with athletic director Scott Strickland. It's not like the other sports have been going all that well there. And the new president really does care, about sports. So how would he want to go about doing this? If things don't go well with football, does he let Strickland make a fire and then another hire, or does he go out and get an AD of his choosing? Because he didn't hire Scott Strickland. He inherited it. And Scott Strickland has never run a big time athletic program. He's run Mississippi State, but that's, that's a good program, but it's not like a top 10 type athletic program like Florida, aspires to be. they're actually in jeopardy of missing the baseball tournament as well. So, I mean, I think they have to win the series in Athens. Otherwise, they're not eligible for the postseason because they'll have a losing overall record.
Omaha talk?
Yes.
We've got Omaha talk.
Dude, yeah.
Let's go.
And they've got the Shohei Ohtani of college baseball right now.
Florida
that
does?
Dude,
oh, that kid is,
Jack Caglianone. No, he's a specimen. He's like 6'5". I mean, they should bring him out and play tight end because he is a stud.
Nice. All right. Well, I like that. Inside
the
the inside the athletic department of the athletic departmental politics that are going on in Gainesville right now. I mean, look, it's a people business. And you saying that thing about Saban, I think that we will continue to appreciate that the things that made Nick Saban the greatest of all time, like, yes, he was fantastic in terms of being a defensive mind, X's and O's. He did make some really good hires, but what you were saying, like, his leadership skills, like right out of an old leadership handbook, of being able to make everyone in your organization believe that what they were doing mattered and was like really important, so that they gave them all to that. There's no way that we see the same level of success if he doesn't have that ability to do that, leading a college football program. So good note there. Not just because you went to the school for wayward boys doesn't mean you're going to come out with all the skills that Nick Saban tries to impart on his staff.
Do you guys have a what was I thinking ranking?
Well,
now that I look at this, I'm like, I kind of want that one back.
Yeah, the PJ Fleck at 51 was the one that I looked at and I was like, yuck. But you know, I'm sitting there with like a PJ Fleck, a Justin Wilcox, a Neil Brown, and a Manny Diaz. You know, you could probably springboard up any one of those coaches if you were to have a good successful season. That fluctuating area of my rankings where it's coaches who haven't quite proven anything yet but are trending in a positive direction. Hello, Brent Brennan from Arizona versus other coaches that have lost a step, or we see like it's going in the opposite direction. Those are the ones where I think I've got the least certainty in the specific order that I've got. What was I thinking?
Kalani Sitake at 27. I think that's just too high after the year they had. And I know they had a lot of injuries, but like I thought he had done a really nice job there prior. But that's I had a hard time figuring out like how much do you penalize these guys for going to the new league, because everybody who went to the Big 12 struggled mightily. Yeah. Scott Satterfield did not do a terrible job at Cincinnati, and there's a lot of credit to be given to Luke Fickell for what he did when he was at Cincinnati. But if you actually go through it, the last two recruiting classes that Fickell signed for Cincinnati are terrible. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, he didn't take that much with him to Wisconsin. That's not a good sign for what he left Cincinnati, So I don't know how much to penalize Satterfield, right?
I still give Satterfield credit for App. I still give Satterfield credit for a pretty good first year at Louisville. I mean, everybody else was down, but they took advantage of the opportunity. Got him at 41.
Where did you have Venables?
Right. I think he's around there. That's Brent Venables at 35.
Yeah, at 34.
Like I think he's a very, very good coach. It is still way too early in this process for me to say top 30. That felt like
a huge mover too. He has a big year in the SEC.
If he has a big year this year, and 100%.
He will not be within 10 spots of this in either direction.
One way or the other, depending on how
he'll either be top 25 or he'll probably be like bottom 15 in hot seat for year 4.
Interesting stuff.